first round, we'll talk about the bond and the greenways. As you know, the city will have a $15.85 million bond referendum on the ballot this November. Projects and amounts covered by the bond would include $10 million for street improvements, $1.95 million for continuation of the West Greenville Streetscape project, $1.75 million for enhancements to the 10th Street Connector project, $1.4 million for sidewalk additions, and $750,000 for the East Side Greenway extension. It will also include $6.4 million in interest. So we will start with Mr. Thomas as we ask the first question. Do you view parks and greenways as needs or merely wants for economic development of our city?
Are we going to start with the introduction as well? Or?
Yes, but that's your first question. I'm giving you a...
you can have opening statements.
Right. We'll have opening statements, but that'll be the first one. Okay, go right ahead. Yes, you can stand if you want to.
Okay. Thank you all for being here, first of all. This is a great audience. It may be one of the largest audiences I've seen for a debate in the past few times I've had the privilege of doing this. So it's good to see so many people here from all across our city. My name is Alan Thomas, and it starts with the basics for me. It starts with family. I'm a 46-year-old father of 3. I have a 10-year-old little girl in intermediate school. I have a 7-year-old in elementary, and I have a very rambunctious 3-year-old in diapers. God help us. And I learn a lot from them every day. And my wonderful wife, Janet, she's a full-time working in the pharmaceutical industry. We look like a lot of your families. We're a 2-income, hard-working family. Every week is a challenge economically. Every week is a challenge across the community as we continue to try to work together and be involved and grow. My background, I went to East Carolina undergraduate, received a degree in business, have an MBA from UNC Chapel Hill, and studied in government at the Harvard School of Government this past summer on scholarship, which was something I was really appreciative of. And my background is in business. Started a company with a fellow ECU graduate and my extra bedroom. I'm an entrepreneur back in 1998. And we've grown that company since that time from one customer to over 160 customers in 36 states. So I know about having to meet payroll. I know about tough economic times. I know trying to make things work. But it's a privilege to be here. It's been an extreme privilege to serve. And I think this discussion will be about experience and about proven experience. When I came on board, the economy was very different than it is now. And we have worked very hard with many of you in this room to grow this community. And I'm just excited as mayor to be here, and we have much more work to do. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Donna Whitley. I was born and raised here, and I'm here to stay. I'm running for mayor because I believe that economic development and quality of life go hand in hand. They're like a coin, 2 sides of a coin that cannot be separated. The most important thing for a person is to have a job so they can take care of their families, right? And how do we do that? We do that as a city by building an infrastructure that attracts high-quality businesses. But in the end, what we have discovered is that when you have 2 cities that are about equal in infrastructure, it's the quality of life and amenities that break the tie. Quality of life is a tiebreaker. So what does that mean, quality of life? Well, one, they look at your traffic flow. Does it flow? Are people traffic jams? Are your cities, particular neighborhoods, safe from crime? Are there sidewalks so that your children can safely walk to a friend's house? All of these things are powerful economic magnets that attract high-quality businesses that are going to bring us our jobs. So we have other things like recreational facilities here, parks and trees, cultural activities, medical facilities, and an educational system for a diverse population. This is what is going to bring us high-quality jobs to Greenville, is making sure that the quality of life issues are advanced simultaneously with the economic development. And thank you, and vote for me November 3rd, Donna Whitley.
Hello, how y'all? Hello, my name is Ernest Reeves, and I just want to say, in God good. I grew up across the street over here. This is my house. I used to come here so much. I used to crawl over here and play. And Travis knows, I used to play in that room right there. I was one of the best bumper pool players in the city of Greenville. I was short, I was chubby, I could not talk, had a very bad speech impediment, but I still ran this building right here. And also, I want to thank the Daily Reflector because I used to be a paper boy, and Bo Evans is no longer with us, but he used to be my paper carrier. I used to have 5th Street all the way down to the Ice House and always back down to Sadie Salty. Now, as one of 12 children, my mother and father had 12 kids. My father had no education. He worked for ECU. He left East Carolina, went in business for himself. He was a business owner. As I already stated, I own my own business, being a paper boy. But my father ended up working for some really cool people here in Greenville, like United States Senator John East and BB&T Bank. I used to cut that bank every Saturday right across from Adams Car Wash. I went into the military as an enlisted person. I served 9 years as enlisted. I completed 1 degree in the military. I applied and won a national scholarship. I went back to school, became a commissioned officer in the United States Army Signal Corps. I've served outside the United States 6.5 years. I worked at the Pentagon where I retired from. I served as an ambassador special military liaison officer. I worked at the White House. Also, I've commanded units in Japan and also a unit inside of the state of Michigan. I've served all over the United States and across the world. I served in the Middle East, and like I said, God is good. Never would I have imagined that I grew up across the street, could not talk. I attended St. Gabriel's, Amherst, Agnes Full Love, EBA Cop, and James Rose High, and I would never have thought that I would have a life in politics, even though my father worked for U.S. Senator John East. Thank you very much.
All right. Let's give them all a round of applause. Got a lot of accomplishments here, and we appreciate all the service already that you all have done for the city of Greenville. At this time, we'll start with our questions on bond and greenways, and you'll have 2 minutes again to answer these questions, and our timekeepers up front will help you, assist you with keeping the time. And we ask you to be as specific as you can in answering the questions. We'll start with Ms. Whitley.
What is the question?
I'll give you. Okay, do you view parks and greenways as needs or merely wants for economic development of our city?
I view parks and greenways as absolutely essential to the development of our city. John Day, who's a commercial real estate businessman, recently spoke before the city council in favor of greenways. And he realizes and understands that this is one of those quality of life issues that attract high-quality business. You must remember, in the 21st century, businesses have highly educated people, and they can move and go anywhere. So when a company looks here, they want to make sure that they're going to stay here because this is an interesting, fun place to live. It's too expensive to keep recruiting and retraining people. So they look at, are there parks and trees for children? Are there recreational facilities? Are there cultural things? Are there music, art, theater? These are all extremely important today. And this is a new model. And that's why it's fun to be running for mayor of Greenville. This is a new model. People have always thought we need infrastructure. But you have to be more equal nowadays, or you're not going to get really high quality people that you want to come to Greenville.
I see parks and recreation as a need, but they are absolutely essential.
Just share this. We'll share.
Hello, how you doing? Thank you so much.
There you go.
I see parks as a need, but I think that they are absolutely essential. Like you take this West Greenville gym. I spent a lot of my time as a young youth right here. And during the summertime, I had an opportunity to work for Mr. Godad in the Youth Conservation Board. And we went around and cleaned up places like Amherst, Am Street Park, and all the other parks. And what I saw with all the people that came out, usually people that go to the park, they always have a smile on their faces. So I absolutely support greenways and parks, and I myself moved back here from Chicago. I work for United Airlines in management, and I chose a place, the city of Schaumburg, which is one of the best cities in the United States, to have one of the biggest malls. And one of the reasons I chose that place is because they had a lot of parks and recreation, and also a lot of greenways, which I think are very, very important for quality of life. If elected mayor, I would fully support parks and greenways to the fullest extent of my power as mayor.
Thank you. I'm going to stand up and be a tall person before we see each other. Again, as I mentioned, it goes without saying, as a father of 10 and 7 and 3-year-old, I live in parks every week. So I use it firsthand all across this entire city. But parks are more than just recreation. There's symbolism with parks in many parts of our city. Some parts of our city for many decades weren't served by parks. They were afterthoughts. Places like the Dream Park, which is literally a pipe dream, Rose Love. Since the 80s, it was something that's always pushed to the bottom of the core of the city. But thanks to Rose Glover and our council members, we all stood together in a 4-2 vote. 2 council members actually voted against it, to focus on this community and create a park that we can be proud of. Not everyone can get in a car and drive to the beach every weekend. They need places where the grandparents can take their grandkids and have meaningful conversations and teach their kids. And parks are extremely important. And I also want to mention, John Day was mentioned here earlier about being a strong advocate for greenways and parks. And John Day endorsed me this week and said, Mayor Thomas, you're the best one for the job. I've worked with you over the years, and you're focused not just on one piece of the equation, but the whole equation. If you have a set of encyclopedias, you don't skip one set of one letter A, you learn them all. If you're going to run a city, you got to be able to create tax base. You got to know how to do that. And by creating tax base, we can create great recreational services across the whole city. And I will say this, under our administration, we have doubled the size of the greenways with unanimous support of this entire city council. We live it every week as a family, and it's something that I'm proud to say. Thank you.
Our next question. Are there any responses to the first?
Yes. One, I would like to say that there was actually a park where the present Greenville Park was in the late 70s when the Hicks neighborhood was organized. We had the first piece of wooden playground equipment, which was considered extremely hip and cool. That was there. I would like to say that. And two, actually, at the time that I decided to run for mayor was, Alan, when you said you wanted to separate the greenways out and put it into 2 different issues. So I want you to know that that's not what I consider strong support for greenways. So,
Probably would like to.
Sure. Actually, that is kind of representing a whole different discussion altogether. Let's talk about bonds. Again, we have committed billions of dollars in grant money and city money on state level. We are doubling the size of our greenways. We live every day. That's the bottom line. The discussion that Ms. Whitley is mentioning is a process where every city council member appointed 2 members to an advocacy committee, and we trusted those citizens to make a submittal for the suggestion to the community of how what a bond would look like. And when they did that, they made priorities, and that piece was not a priority, for an additional 3rd piece to the Greenway. I'm in support of that as well. But I'm also, first and foremost, in support of following my citizens that we all duly appointed and follow their lead. That was not done in the final vote. But the bottom line is, and we'll get into this later, the bond is too important. We must fix our roads. And sometimes as a council, you need to know you get past that and move forward with things that are going to fix your city. So we're all on the same page and important. Thank you.
Okay, our next question, would you support borrowing money from Greenville Utilities for the bond projects? Why or why not? Mr. Reeves?
Yes, of course. I struggle with this question, and as I sent many messages to the Daily Reflector, Greenville Utilities has a lot of money that belongs to us, the citizens of Greenville, North Carolina. It's not like, to borrow money from ourselves seems kind of strange to me, but notwithstanding the fact that they have $70 to $100 million, on the books, I do support that idea if the bond does not go forward. Now, I think that Greenville Utilities have a lot of money that we could send some of that money to the city of Greenville for other things. Now, I heard an attorney say that that's not possible. But like the mayor here, I spend a lot of time doing budgets to myself. In fact, my nephew is a doctor, and he used to teach at Harvard School of Politics, and he's a professor right now at a very prestigious school here in the United States. Now, I believe that what Mr. Boyd said is pretty much absolutely correct. Greenville Utilities need to drop the rate by 35%, and if the bond is not done, then we need to get the money from them. And I don't think it should be at a very high interest rate. It should be at zero, because the money belongs to us in the first place. And I went back and looked at the charter that gave Greenville Utilities the charter for the city of Greenville, and I read everything that it said. Now I understand that if they can't meet that payroll, then we have to foot the bill. But they have a lot of money. It belongs to you, the citizens, and we should not, if the bond does not go forward, have to go out and borrow money from everybody else but ourselves.
Again, the question is, would you support borrowing money from Greenville Utilities for bond projects? Why or why not?
Well, first of all, we didn't follow the law, and the law is, according to state statute, that currently GUC cannot borrow to the city. Now, I've talked to Tony Cannon about this, and I will be in favor of pursuing this with the state legislature and see if that's something that we can look at at all, if that makes sense. I say that on one hand, but as a person from a business background, whether you're Vita, whether you're a small company, whether you're a retail shop, or you're GUC, all properly run entities have to have a certain amount of cycle time of operating cash. They can operate assuming that they will not have income coming in. That's why the city has to keep 14% fund balance. So we have to be fiscally responsible in how we handle that. Now, can they issue debt through bonding? And could they actually literally go and sell that bonding and make that liquid if that ended up hypothetically happening at some point? Absolutely. So it's something we're definitely discussing as a possibility. But in terms of this bond, that ship is sailing. In terms of future opportunities, if we can be an investment partner, we need to look at that. But we got a minute left. We'll pass it on.
I am against borrowing from the Greenville Utilities. It would possibly endanger their credit rating, and then we would have to borrow money at a higher rate. It doesn't make any sense to me. Also, because it is chartered by the North Carolina legislature, we would have to go and get a special permission. They would have to change that charter, and it takes them a lot of time to do things, and I don't think it seems like a good business model to me. Do you know that Greenville, North Carolina almost burned to the ground 3 times, in 1893, 1896, and 1903, before David Richard and some progressive forward-thinking people could get the city council to raise taxes? I think it was about 4 cents to get $65,000 to start a water works, which eventually became the Greenville Utilities Company, which now returns us an investment of $6 million, which is based on the formula. They gave us $6 million last year, $7 million coming up. They have been a very creative, well-run business. Businesses come here like the pharmaceuticals because they need water. And Greenville Utilities is so well planned for water that we have enough water, thousands of gallons a day for the next 50 years. I look at that company and I think they've done a good job, and we need to let them continue to do a good job. We need to look at whether or not how we want to support
lines of management where I manage nearly $1 billion worth of aircraft a day. I've also ran many companies around the world that have budgets too as well, millions and millions of dollars. Now, in fact, I also work in the Office of Management and Budget at the Pentagon, where it's one of the biggest offices in the world for management and budget. I see we move money all around, all the time. So does the Congress, so does the General Assembly here. And based on the charter that I read that was issued to us, it said nothing in there about we could not loan ourselves money. Now it does, explicitly state how much money they're supposed to give you and what we're supposed to do. So what I'm trying to say is this here. I keep hearing about business. We all have a business background. I ran a lot of companies. Obviously, I wouldn't, been assigned to the Pentagon when I worked at the White House, and I definitely wouldn't have about $700 to $1 billion for aircraft a day if I didn't have a business background.
Thank you. Any more responses?
Sure. I will say this, the Greenville Utilities does currently have investments to, rather than sticking money in the bank accounts, they really do make investments with some of those funds. That's what's fiscally responsible. But again, this all goes with GUC is set the charter. They have their own board. They're trusted with making those decisions. So what we're talking about here is entirely hypothetical. But obviously that decision will have to be made in concert with GUC, whether they ever wanted to make any decision in that nature in terms of investment.
Here again.
Just what?
Right, I just want to say this. Their GUC has money.
I'm sorry, yeah, you already responded once, but
Right.
Ms. Whitley, would you like to
Okay.
respond?
No.
Okay, we'll move on to the next question, and I think, Mr. Thomas, it's your turn to start. What alternative resources could the city use to improve its infrastructure?
Well, we're already looking at a number of opportunities here. You shouldn't bond for basic maintenance of your city. That's a bad financial approach to being able to maintain your city. We are growing so fast. We are almost at 100,000 citizens. A couple of decades ago, we never would have thought that. The way we're able to handle our infrastructure is through the proper growth of business opportunities by aggressively growing our tax base. That's what we have to do. We have to continue to improve business and industry. But let me tell you, one of the issues that when I first came on as mayor is one of the things I look at as Mr. Reeves discussed is I took a close look at the budget. And what it turned out, as Ms. Glover knows, and we'll talk about this extensively, for many years we have underinvested in our infrastructure in this city. Stormwater, the roads, and other key aspects of we were spending around $350,000 a year in road maintenance. We should have been spending close to $1.5 million, almost $2 million, as this city continues to grow. We have over 700 miles of roads in this city, and close to 200 miles that are actually controlled by the state of North Carolina, which is an entirely different issue. But what we've committed to do is once we identified this a couple of years ago in our first term, with the support of 4 members of council, again, Councilmember Glover and others supported that, 2 council members voted against it. We immediately put $4 million to inject and get our roads going in the right process. And that's why I pushed, and I was the first to push, for this bond, because we knew we had debt capacity, and we knew that rates were low. Now was the time that we needed to catch up. And then proper fiscal policy is through growth in the city is how to make proper investment in your infrastructure.
Here's an example of where the quality of life and economic development go hand in hand. As people are looking across the United States for places to put their industry, they are looking to see where there's a more equal development of quality of life in roads. People are not going to come and bring their highly qualified, talented employees if your roads are just smooth. They are going to also look and see, are there parks and recreational facilities? Is there a cultural scene there? Is there music? Is there medical facilities? Truly, it is the new research that the quality of life is also driving the economic growth. It is a powerful economic impact.
The question again is, what alternative resources could the city use to improve its infrastructure?
Well, here, I hate to go back to GUC, But if the bond does not go forward, there's a lot of money in GUC that belongs to the city. And I went through that budget not one time, but a number of times. And I happen to love balance sheets. In fact, my very first unit in the Army, I was a unit administrator for an Army Finance Disbursement Center, a bank. And I learned money very well then, even when I worked in Office of Management Budget for a short time I did while I was at the Pentagon. But I would say this, one alternative that we could do is that we need to open up the books of the city of Greenville. We need to look at GUC and all the funds that we have. And then we have to determine what is the baseline amount of money that GUC needs to have. Now, have a lot of jets, you know, and most jets, a Boeing jet, start at about $77 million. And then if you have an Airbus, it's about $75 million. Some jets I had, they were $200 million. But here's the point. All those jets and stuff, they have, you know, the same things that GUC does. And as a communication electronic officer, as a signal corps officer, some of the things that they have, I've already had before. And I also was the chief of communications for a petroleum unit, one of the Army's of that. So we have a lot of pipes and water. So we did water and petroleum. So in looking at that budget, I understand that they need to have a lot of money in case something go wrong. But we're talking about $100 million. So we need to look at perhaps maybe sending some of that money back to the city so that we can do some things like do road repair. And we can also do some things like apprenticeship program for young people. We can also do some things like building another shelter across the river. And then not only doing the roads like Arlington, but also going here in West Greenville and north of the river. There's a lot of roads that need to be done. And I do agree. I wrote down Arlington yesterday, and they do need a lot of repairs in Arlington. So, you know, so I would say that Arlington, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. Will, any responses? Great, we'll move on. We'll move on to economic development and planning. Is Pamela Ward in the audience? She wanted to ask a question. If she's here, we'll let her ask her question. If not, we will move on. Pamela, are you here? To ask the question? Okay. We'll come back to her question a little later in the evening if we have time. Our next question, does the city need planning and zoning regulations that discourage development of new commercial centers when we have unused commercial space available? Again, does the city need planning and zoning regulation that discourage development of new commercial centers when we have unused commercial space available?
Well, I think we need to follow best practices that other communities within our peer groups follow. I was chairman of planning and zoning and participated in the updated Horizon Plan, which is a 10-year plan that lays out zoning across the city. And you know, you have to be able to operate in a manner that's going to create opportunity for growth. If we create artificial barriers for businesses to come in here, if they meet the qualifications of our zoning, if it is best practices, the worst thing you can do is be volatile. You need to be consistent in your zoning plan. So if someone wants to come in here, they don't come in here and build a building for 2 years. They make a 40-year investment when they come in here. You look at Mayoral right now, a large shopping center that has been there for how many decades? Basically abandoned, a DMV office center. And if we weren't consistent in our zoning and our approach as a city, and being consistent in whether it's stormwater or setbacks and things we do, those companies just go to another city. We're not competing against Kinston anymore. We're competing against Jacksonville, Florida. We're competing against cities in Augusta, Georgia. So as a city, we need to follow best practices that keep us in line with similar cities across the country, that protects our environmental controls, but also creates a situation where we can have investment. Because if they can turn a $10,000 value of a lot into $1 million value, that's more tax base for us to be able to go to build infrastructure and put sidewalks in and things that we need. So we need to follow best practices that are participating across the country.
Repeat the question again, please.
Does the city need planning and zoning regulations that discourage development of new commercial centers when we have unused commercial space available?
We need jobs right here in this city. And if I were mayor and somebody said they want to come here and there was a regulation that discouraged that, I mean, that's not common sense. So definitely not. I totally disagree with discouraging companies to come to Greenville. Any company that want to come to Greenville, if they see this video, come to Greenville. We need jobs. The people would love for you to come to Greenville, particularly if you bring in more than 500 jobs. I mean, one job is better than none. 500 is even better because 99% of businesses are like small businesses, and that's 500 jobs or less. So definitely not. I do not want to discourage any company from coming to Greenville, North Carolina.
I agree. I think we should encourage people to come here with those zoning laws and to build more dense developments. And that is going to help us increase our tax base. And I love the story when I was talking about with a businessman about Arlington. I said, wouldn't it be nice if we could do a small development there that was two-story? And he said, nobody wants to walk up to the second floor. And I said, well, all downtown has got second floors, which doubles our tax base. So I think this is a very exciting aspect of developing Greenville. You know, I grew up here, everything was a farmland, everything was flat, you could just sprawl and go out forever. But what about developing areas that would encourage businesses with good zoning to build commercial and residential and to do it in two stories and do like villages and things. These are just ideas to throw out, and I think that's what would be interesting. As a community, if we would get together and say, what are we going to do to plan for the future to make this a more dynamic, livable, walkable, healthy city? I'm really into doing some designing of the city that would make it healthy. And also the Horizon Plan, I don't know if we're going to talk about that, but that's a very important program that Alan's responding that we spoke to. It's an opportunity for you to go and share your ideas about how you think the city should grow. Do you want it to be livable, safe, and healthy, or do you want it to end up looking more like Greenville Boulevard? And trust me, we can do better than that.
Now, I will tell you what I am in favor of. In 1997, I commanded the Point Treaty Company in Michigan. It was my company. It was 3 times the size of Dade County, 7 cities, 7 buildings, 7 different staff, over 2,200 square miles, which is 3 times the size of Dade County, 85 times the size of Greenville. And what they did in one of my cities, which is bigger than Greenville, Flint, Michigan, they have terrible crime, one of the top 3 crimes in the nation. And what they did was buildings that they did not use, they went back and retrofitted those buildings. So that's something that I am for. Buildings that we have here, unused commercial buildings. Maybe we could create a program that if somebody wanted to come here, maybe we could retrofit those buildings within the law, and also maybe the people that have those buildings would be willing to, offer those at a discount rate that people that want to go into a commercial building that they can do. But like I said, I saw Flint, Michigan change and
Yes, after
If you want to. I do want to add this is a very important item to distinguish here as we are discussing. I think this is a very important thing for you to consider as all of us talk, is talk versus action. We have many wonderful citizens that serve on all of our commissions and boards across this city. And I myself most recently served on the Board of Adjustment and also Planning and Zoning and was chairman of Planning and Zoning. And one of the first things that I did and I ran on as a platform was it was time for leadership in 2011 on crime, jobs, and growth. So we launched the first Office of Economic Development. So not just talk, we walk the walk. We actually got out there and focused, and we didn't raise taxes, we redirected resources, and we put a team together, we've had an economic explosion the past couple of years, while other cities have really been struggling. So it's not just talk here. I think an important distinguishing factor here is those that are actually getting things done. And our great city council was a part of that 2 years ago, and you can look how things were boarded up in the uptown and these zones across the city. It's good to see progress. Thank you.
I wanted to speak about the 10th Street Connector. I've been down at Public Works and looked at the map and driven it and looked at it on the video. I think that's going to be one of the most exciting economic engines in this city, is the 10th Street Connector. And it is so important that I think all of us process. What's going to happen to all that land? So if I'm elected mayor, I would like for us to have a summit and bring to the table all the people who are players in this, private sector, East Carolina, the community college, all these things that you hear about what's going to be happening. But that is going to be a huge source, hopefully, of income for us as taxes to the city. So I think it's very important. Remember that the 10th Street Connector is going to have some sidewalks, some bike paths. They are being more sensitive, medians with some trees. So do keep that on your radar, the 10th Street Connector.
Our next question, does the focus on downtown come at the expense of growth elsewhere, such as here in West Greenville or north of the river?
In order for this to all work, for the city to all work, we have to focus on all parts of the city. The interesting thing about that uptown is that because it's so concentrated, it really does have a very high tax base and get a lot of taxes out of it. And they just finished the super block, which is really going to be a wonderful addition to downtown. But you cannot ignore West Greenville or north of the river. North of the river has some particular challenges, which, as I said, I've lived here. I know that all my life it's had problems with flooding, but they are making some remarkable progress over there. They have River Park North, and they have a new grocery store, and people are working on it. There are some specific special challenges, like the airport, and then building houses over there. That should never have been done, but that is the past. West Greenville, I think we are making progress there. We have this Mayoral Recreation Center. We have this money that's going into the street enhancement, but we can always do more. And that is the challenge of any community, to make sure that things are fair and just, and that you're always doing it in the very best way.
Absolutely. Uptown has had a priority with West Greenville and north of the river has not. I grew up right across the street. When I grew up, we had probably 20 great African American businesses right here in the neighborhood. The principal lived across the street. You had the laundromat place in the street. You had Northfleet, had the cleaners and the tea room. My brother-in-law's uncle, both Nobles had clouts. We had bullets that couldn't cut hair. We had Fred and Floyd. We had the tea room, sitting, cab, Deacon Garrett. Mr. Grant Bell had the Shell station and the hotel, Bell's cafeteria, and all up and down the street, Jonas Reeves. Everybody had a business, and we had teachers, and everybody else sparred out right here. Most people owned their own home. Today, I come back, it seems different. And what I'm saying is West Greenville is not as prosperous as it was when I was growing up. Now they have built some new houses. North of the river, my grandfather was one of the people that's in the history books here. He used to bring Condell Farm. He moved here right across the street from the airport, right across the river. He got flooded out. The city and the federal government bought him a new home. So I used to go across the river, pump well water, go out to an outhouse, and I know the flooding that happened. But I look across the river now, they have a McDonald's. I own property in Greenville Terrace. My uncle died and left us a house. So I go there all the time. Now they have McDonald's, you got a few other things. But north of the river has not had the attention that downtown has had. Now I understand there's downtown, I understand ECU. But remember, East Carolina and Whitley Medical, they don't pay any taxes. You know, they're exempt in a lot of cases from paying taxes. The citizens pay taxes. And if you will take like this place right here and tag down and build a brand new gymnasium and a brand new library right here and a community center and a center for the senior citizens right here on this block of land right here, you'll see businesses come back right here. And north of the river, if you go across there and that hospital.
Well, we didn't know in 2004 they passed a law in the 45 block revitalization project. And a lot of money was invested in different parts of West Greenville, badly needed money all over the. But just starting. If you notice this bond, a significant portion of this bond is about improving this entire corridor to make it more attractive for business and for residents that live here. Let me tell you what a mayor does that gets engaged. It's not just showing up at a council meeting or a gallery. What a mayor does that gets engaged is he goes to Durham. He meets the state employees credit union. He talks to them about starting a fund, a $50 million fund, which actually will go in and revitalize entire blocks here. So only Greenville and Durham are the only two cities at this point that are part of this fund. And we built over 20 houses already last year, going about a dozen this year, and revitalizing. Again, walking the walk, not talking the talk. Eppes, this sound system. We needed sound systems in our ball fields and everything here. What does the mayor do? He's engaged. He gets with Candy Smith and Roach Glover, and we pass the hat around here. Something that been long overlooked, and we raise money to create sound systems across this community. That's what an engaged mayor does. South Greenville Gym, when the school system was lagging and the community was in an uproar, we went and met with the school officials, and we got that done. We got that funding done to move forward that South Greenville Gym before it falls apart. That's what an active mayor does. Commercial core, no new development in the commercial core of West Greenville in decades. What we do, we give the Max High, we give the Save-A-Lot and other companies, and the city rolls out the red carpet to get the first commercial shopping center in West Greenville in decades. That's what an engaged city council and mayor does. So again, we can talk, but it's also about action, real action that you want in your city council. If we're going to make things move forward, it has to be personal. I walk these blocks, just like Ernest said, he was here, grew up here, and we all have to be engaged in this community. It doesn't matter where you're from. Every inch of Greenville is your community if you're mayor. And that's something I live. Thank you.
Yes, that's all fine and dandy. Now, last year I ran for the United States Senate. I got 43,000 votes across the state of North Carolina. I visited a lot of cities, and I've been in a lot of meetings. Anybody can go to Durham, anybody can walk the wall if you're in a position of merit. What I'm talking about here is this. You're coming up with a bond to redo the 5th Street so you can appease the people of West Greenville. But that's just the tease. We have north of the river and West Greenville has had nothing compared to downtown when you talk about uptown. Now I know you brought a couple stories from here, but the houses are great. But we are talking about real redevelopment. I own a house in a 45 block. I've owned it since my dad died. I own 2 houses and a box shop and a lot. And I watched piles of stuff been around, and they have not done what they said they're going to do. So let's just call a spade what it is. Now, if you do uptown, you can do West Greenville and North of the River too.
Thank you.
Okay. I do want to add this right now. We need your help. Currently, Ben Johnson, if you know Ben, called Deacon Ben. And we're meeting with Republicans. Sure, you know this. We're working on the challenge for change. And what that means is we're looking at specific projects north of the river with a specific group. We've been meeting for several weeks on this. And we're also looking at raising money to take Albemarle Avenue and bring it back to the height of when that was the business district of this part of the city. So again, real action, making things happen in this community. You do that by getting engaged with the community and moving forward. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. We have to be able to, if we're going to do it, then we've got to be able to work in the community to make it happen. And it comes down to, you roll your sleeves up, one project by a time. You get the people together and you find a way to get it done, and get the private sector to help pay for things, and the public sector to step up and help make it happen. So, are all of our challenges met yet? No. But you know what? You face them and you keep growing your community. But it's all about being engaged. Thank you.
Ms. Whitley, did you want to? Okay. Nope. Sorry. This is a question from a member of the audience. If you had to pick one other city to serve as a model for Greenville, which one would it be and why? And we start with Mr. Reeves.
I'll be Cary, North Carolina. I love Cary. I went to college in Raleigh. For my second degree. After I graduated, became a lieutenant. I was a college recruiter for a second best scholarship after commission from Fort Bragg, and I had an opportunity to spend a lot of time in that area. had an opportunity last year running for the United States Senate to do a couple of events there, and I love the city. It's actually a time. They have great, their crime rate is very low. Economic development is off the charts. It's just a lot of greenways, nice parks, and I just love the city of Cary. If I had to model this city, I love the city of Greenville. One reason I'm running is because I love the city. I love the people. I love the different communities. When I used to go cut grass with my father, like BB&T Bank, I used to cut it every Saturday. But I loved it because, Adams Car Wash wasn't there at the time. And then we'd go into Lake Downs and Long Meadow and Brook Valley and all the other areas. And now I ride through those neighborhoods and say, I used to cut that grass. You know what I'm saying? And so I love the city of Greenville. Greenville is about 27.3 square miles, somewhere around there. Great city. We are proximity. We are located. Like I used to be stationed at the Pentagon. I get here in 4.5 hours. I go visit my niece in Charlotte, 4.5 hours. Go down to Myrtle Beach, 4 hours. We have a great city. Thank you. Used to be a remarkable city. And like I said before, I would model Greenville, I guess, with some of the practices and some of the prosperity that Cary had, if I had to choose.
Cary is a beautiful city. It also has a double tax base that we have. And Cary, in my youth, was probably about the size of Harrisburg, and it exploded with the research triangle exploded. There are a number of cities which are our peer cities across the country that we have gone and visited personally. And that is, Athens, Georgia is a close mirror based on the dynamics there. Gainesville, Florida has some similarities. Also, Greenville, South Carolina, that Greer Greenville area is significantly like a place we'd like to be. They have a water feature that runs right through the middle of the city. You guys know they used to be paved over through the entire city, and they opened it up and entirely revitalized their entire waterfront. And it's one of the aims that we have on the river study, which is a national enrollment study. And we want to provide access from West Greenville all 6 miles throughout the city. So Greenville, South Carolina is a close model in their uptown area and the work they're doing. Also, their different wards. They have created transformational projects throughout their city. And that's another city, as we talk about bonding, that we need to mature as a community, that we're not just a one-time inadvertent bond where you got to put a Band-Aid on it. We need to have transformational projects every few years. Maybe it's a swimming and diving facility, maybe it's a performing arts facility, a science facility. Every 3 or 4 years where the city creates a directive where we have our citizenry involved, the private sector can come in and help fund it. You got to do it one transformational project at a time. That's what we have seen as examples in Greenville, South Carolina, also in Durham, and I know Bianca who runs Uptown, and we were able to hire Bianca for the first time during our administration. We've invited, and he's stepping in, to come in and help us model. The reason we've seen so much progress through different parts of our city for the past couple of years is because we are mirroring and working very closely, and not just talk, but how do they successfully do it? And it's through partnering with the private sector and the public sector, laying out that catalyst to proper infrastructure to get it done.
I think that Greenville is a fabulous and unique place, and that what ideally we should do is create our own special vision of what we should be. And of course we should go to other places and look and see what they're doing. But we have some remarkable people here who are very creative and have different ideas about things. One of the reasons I love running for mayor is because people will come up and talk to you, tell you what they think needs to be done. People have talked about, why don't we develop this as a gateway to economic, environmental tourism, where people can explore all the wonderful natural resources we have around Greenville and the historic sites. Someone said, why don't we do a wonderful museum of the histories of African Americans in Pitt County? And so, yes, I talked to a wonderful woman, Ben Jo Ray, who's the mayor of Rock Hill, South Carolina. She ran her whole program on recreation. They now have a velo. You know what that is? It's a bike racing. And they bought millions of dollars into their city about a month ago from an international competition of bikers. And there are places that have soccer fields and softball fields and all of these things that we can do that are very creative. And I think will be a wonderful challenge for us to say what is unique and fabulous and special about Greenville, and let's develop that.
Okay, we'll, no, we won't do any responses on that. You have your favorite cities that we believe in, that's good. So we can get in more questions. That's right. This is another question from the audience. It says, how do you keep Greenville from becoming two Greenvilles as an ECU and hospital and then everybody else? Mr. Thomas, you go first on that.
That's a question that can take in a lot of different directions. What we need to do is what we're doing now, is get real aggressive about economic development. And like many cities that become too dependent on certain industries, you need to diversify your economic environment. And that's what we have done. That's why working with the EDC of the county, and the state, and the city, that's why we went out and recruited a Patheon, the largest contract manufacturer of drugs in the world, building the largest facility in the world right here in Greenville, North Carolina. Over 1 million square feet of clean space. They're hiring kids that are growing up here, born in PCC, getting ambulance jobs, something you can actually do here, and getting jobs that are paying $7,000, $80,000, $90,000. Diversifying our workforce. Recruiting something like the genome DNA lab, which is moved here from the DC area. And they're doing work with the DoD all over the entire world in many countries. Diversifying and creating clusters of economic development is what we have to do. The healthcare industry, I've worked in the healthcare industry for decades. That's my company, IQMAX. We started back in the 90s, as I mentioned to you. In many ways, there's a declining revenue stream of that. It's going more to home health. East Carolina, as we know, the budget has been cut 20, 30%. So how long can they sustain that model? If you're mayor, you better be thinking 10, 15, 20 years down the road, how you're creating new economic clusters, not just to hire Greenville and be able to fund and grow Greenville, but also being able to deploy much of Eastern North Carolina, which is extremely important. This city is going to continue to grow, and we need to understand that we need to continue to be the hub and the model here if we're going to be able to deploy and grow this community. Because the infrastructure has to be paid for, and the way you do that is by proper investment to create economic development that creates tax base. So to do that, we can pay for all of that. Many things were discussed here today, but I'm not hearing a lot of talk about how you pay for it. And the way you do that is proper economic development. And you do that in very tangible ways, not in general discussion.
This is what goes back to my favorite subject, that economic development and quality of life go hand in hand. And they're like two sides of the coin, they cannot be separated. If you're going to attract a diverse kind of industries, yes, you have to have the infrastructure. And we have an amazing one. We're doing well and we're continuing to do better. But if we want to compete on the national stage, then we must develop these recreational facilities, our walkable community, an emphasis on health, for instance. This is very, very important. We have serious health problems in this area. And that's one reason we need sidewalks and bike paths and greenways. We have problems with obesity, diabetes. We know that walking increases your heart problems. As a cancer survivors, I was last night at the Peak Power Line-In, 675 women there who have either breast cancer or are friends of people with breast cancer. All the research shows that those women need to be walking to extend their life and to prevent the cancer from reoccurring. If we have a city that is so excited about making their citizens healthy, that is going to attract some very dynamic and high quality industry to us.
Everybody else. The hospital and ECU and everybody else. This city, there's only 8 cities in the United States that have a higher, or what I should say, a poor income inequality between the rich and the poor. This is everybody else we're talking about. That means that in this city, there's only 8 other cities. Now, Canada, I'm talking about 8 like on your finger. There was an article 2 months ago in USA Today. It said Greenville had one of the highest poverty rates in the nation and one of the widest disparity between income inequality. We're not talking about ECU and Whitley, we're talking about the West Greenville, the everybody else. Also in this city, people are hurting. When I say you got a 26 to 30% poverty rate and the widest income disparity of 20,000 cities in the United States, we rank number 9. This is what Wall Street Journal said. This is what USA said. And it's the truth. I had a preacher come up to me and tell me the other night, he said, I'm hurting, my wife is hurting, and you know what my congregation is doing. I was at a builder's meeting the other night, and a builder told me he was hurting. And a lot of people are hurting. And then when you keep talking about tax bases, I got a list of all the tax increases that they need here in Greenville. The people are being taxed to death in West Greenville, but they're not getting the benefits. People in West Greenville and north of the river feel like they left out. They have told me, in addition to that, I got a couple of calls about, they say, well, why is it that at Public Works, and full disclosure, my sister worked at Public Works, why is it that the sanitation department is all black and they get low pays when the ground peoples are all white and they get high pay? Now, we're talking about, let's be real here, it's the ECU and it's the House of Government and it's everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, this is a topic that's come up a number of times, so Ernest brought it up, so I'm going to take a look at this article. And it's a good article. But also, in business, you look at the variables that create statistics, correct? I look at the other cities all here: Gainesville, Florida, University City; College Station, Texas, University City; Bloomington, Indiana, University City; Bridgepoint, Stanford, Mayoral, Connecticut, University of Connecticut area. And also, the number one city on this list, ironically, the median income is $82,000. So I'm not sure what this study actually shows us, but I will tell you, two of the cities I just mentioned here are also among the best performing cities in the nation in 2015. College Station, Texas is number 8 in the country of best performing cities. Also, for whatever reason, because they calculate students in this equation. Greenville, North Carolina, number 9 in the country on this list of best performing cities. So you got to look into the details. We have a lot of work to do in the city. We have to understand what buttons we have to push in this community for the growth of record.
Also, though, so what the article is saying is this: 5% of the people in the city of Greenville make 25% of the income, and 2%, and that adds up about 4,500 people. Then there's another about 18 to 2,400 people that make more than $250,000. That's what income is saying. So bottom line, what we have here, we have a city of our size, 90,000 people, with one of the highest poverty rates in the nation. That ought not be. This happened under his watch. Inequality in this city is one of the highest in the nation. Number 9 in the nation happened under his watch. Crime in this city have a 7 on a scale of 1 to 100. That's less than 10. It's a felony grade. We spent $23 million on crime last year for a 7. It is absolutely a travesty for us to have a 7 when Whittley has a 75 and ranks in the top 5 cities in North Carolina, and we rank number 62. In crime, I mean, you look at all the crime statistics, and he's going to sit up and quote that his crime went down. It did in 2012, but it went back up.
Okay, thank you. We will move on to our safety category. Don Cavallini wants to ask the questions.
African Americans in Greenville are disproportionately stopped by police, whether driving or walking, which also leads to disproportionate on-the-spot searches. This profiling also makes African Americans more likely to be subject to the use of force. Now we have a sitting mayor, and we have 2 challenges. So my question to the city mayor is, what have you done? What will you do? And to the challenges, what will you do about racial profiling in Greenville?
Donna's first.
Thank you, Don.
You first, Mayor first. No, you have to listen to the mayor first, you go first.
No.
It's the order that I think you're trying to. You go first. The question is after
We have a new police chief who's comes to town. And I talked with him a little this morning. I think he's a fine fellow and that we should give him a chance to deal with this problem and to work with the people in his department and define the problem. First of all, people need to know there is a problem, and then for them to work together about how we're going to solve the problem. That is what I would do to make this happen in a reasonable way so that we don't create a crisis that perhaps is not necessary to be there since he's new and can work on it. And we'll see how that is a few months from now. Who's next?
Well, you know, in the city of Greenville, I happen to love the police department because I think they have some great people. I have a lot of friends who work for the police department. And some people are stopped, and they should not be stopped. But I'm going to keep it real. There are some people that need to be stopped, and they should be stopped. Now, I'm going to tell the truth here. Because I'm going to tell you, I live in Tyson Farm, and the lady went to work one day. We have a homeowner association. She came home, somebody's in her house. And we have a great neighborhood. So, racial profiling, I haven't heard a lot about racial profiling here, and a lot of people come up to talk to me. I'm not saying it's not happening. I'm glad in the city of Greenville that we don't have more racial profiling. What my concern is in the city of Greenville is the high crime rate, the property crime rate, and the violent crime rate. Those are what concern me. Racial profiling is a concern, but I'm saying that, you know, what I haven't heard a lot of people come up to me in the city of Greenville and make, you know, a lot of claims about racial profiling. I know it happened, and I'm not, and some people do need to be stopped, because I see some people myself that I think need to be stopped. But those people that are stopped and they're not supposed to be stopped, I will commit today to be, you know, to get with the city police and make sure that it does not happen. But what I'm saying is crime as a whole here in this city is a travesty. Crime per square mile is 133 per square mile, where the average in North Carolina is about 30, and the national average is 38. That, I mean, when we talk about, when we look at 300 plus million in the United States, 10 million in North Carolina, and 90,000 here in the city. Now, I'm black, and I won't change my color, and I definitely support black people, and I support not having racial profiling. But most people haven't come up to me with that concern here. They've come up to me about crime and, you know, property crime and stuff like that.
We do a lot. It's kind of like swimming upstream. If you aren't vigilant, the problem gets you. The city has taken steps, but Son 80 came in. We had over a 20% turnover in force. But some were pocketing drug money. Some were literally targeting people predatorily to get their money. Some of them were in jail. They wore badges for years. We had over 20% change in our police workforce. Because Hassan 80 said, if you don't tell me the truth where you are every hour of the day, how can I send you to court, you know, to mandate and get witness in the case? I carry this with me every day. It's pretty worn because I carry it in my pocket. And it says honor, duty, and commitment. That's the kind of law enforcement we want. Amen? That's all we're asking. We've tried to, Hassan 80 and now with T-Bolts coming in, the pat-down process of going into pockets and things, we are moving away from that. And we had a council over here, I'm not going to say my name, so I know firsthand, Candy Smith, who was a victim of this. And we're not going to stand for that in this community. I don't care who you are. We need to look after our citizens, and that's why we have body cameras now. We were one of the first cities to go to body cameras. We were featured nationally. We had a chance to go to the White House this summer, featuring on what we've done with proactive policing to get the subjective out of the way. Be true to your community. And I will say this because I don't want to let facts get in the way of a good story. But this past year, major crimes in Greenville are down 19%, robberies are down 10%, auto thefts are down 55%. Burglaries are down 37.08%. So somebody is doing something right. And I give a lot of credit to Hassan 80 and his new leadership. And that's not just in crime, but in dignity. Because your neighborhood will tell you who's doing wrong if they trust you. And that's something that we see on the earn every day. Thank you.
I checked with thought that we should do that with specific numbers because 100% terrifies you, right? It's from 2 to 4. Rate is up from 8 to 25. This is in from January 2014 to August 2014. Comparing it to January 15, 2015, August 15. Okay. Rate is up from 8 to 25, and aggravated assaults are up from 215 to 232, which is 7.9. And it is true that some of the property crimes, like auto thefts, are down during the same period. I'm pleased to say.
But see, with crime, they take a crime index for every city. Now, like I said before, I don't want to, like I say, racial profiling is on my radar, but I want to focus on crime, violent crime, and property crime. And the city still has a 7 on a scale of 1 to 100, which means, put it like this, Baltimore has a 4, and Ferguson has a 4. Raleigh, Charlotte, and Durham all have over 10. We have a 7, $23 million. Now, for those, like I said, $23 million, we spend on right here in the city of Greenville to get a 7, under 7. Now, as far as racial profiling, I'll take care of that because I'm black. But what I'm saying is though we talking about crime is up, we talking about property crimes and violent crimes are up, and we have a 7 on the scale of 1 to 100. Winterville has a 75. That is absolutely a tragedy.
Again, I don't want to let the facts get in the way of the story. WITN ran this earlier in the year. Actually, we have the lowest homicide rate in 2 decades this past year, something we took applaud. And that's the world today. We had 7 homicides in 2013. We were hovering around 7 to 8 to 9 for a number of years, and we only had 4. And God help us, in any community, tragedy can happen. Tragedy can happen. All it takes is 1 incident, and 2 or 3 or 4 lives can be lost. So that's how delicate it is. Thus far this year, we're hovering on that similar number. So that's the statistical advantage here. It's the lowest number in the city in 20 years.
Also,
No more rebuttal.
I have to rebuttal because
I'm sorry, Ian, we have a few more, but you can't, I'm sorry, please.
you'll have a closing statement in which you can address it.
You can include it in your closing statement.
Excuse me.
Mr. Reeves, please be seated.
We have
Please be seated, thank
other good
you.
questions that we need to get to.
Thank you very much.
It is his turn. So
And actually, if you can include what you want to say in your next 2 minutes, here's the next question, you get to start it, okay? Do you believe there should be stricter gun control measures in the city of Greenville? If so, what measures? If not, why not? Mr. Reeves, you start.
First of all, I just want to say this. The mayor said in 2011 when he ran against the former mayor, he said the pattern of violent crime took, I'm saying, not every word he said. He said the pattern of violent crime is an all-time boiling point. He said we must fight force with force, and he said that it will not be tolerated and we will not accept the status quo. That's what he said. You can go to WITN chapter 12. You go and look at that website. Now he said he would not accept crime at the status quo. It's still at the status quo. If he didn't accept it then, we don't accept it now. Now, I believe in the right to carry on according to the Constitution. Now, we must have laws that are safe. So around schools and around churches and hospitals, then I think that we should have laws that preclude carrying firearms because in those environments, we want our kids to be safe. We want to be safe in the hospital and definitely around churches and stuff. But I believe in Second Amendment rights, and I will fight for those. Every citizen has a right. I have a right. I have armed myself, being a military soldier and a retired military officer. So I don't want to take the right of anybody from that. But we must have sensible laws that address gun safety and gun violence. The one thing that we need to make sure we have too here, and I know that they're working on, is I believe in having city cameras throughout the city because we can have an emergency at any time. We We need to have those. If you look on my website, I want to have other police substations around the city. We need to make sure that we have the appropriate things for safety. And so if we do have an incident with guns, that we can address the situation at hand. We need to be able to look at our city, not to violate anyone's Fourth Amendment right or their First Amendment right, but definitely not the Fourth Amendment right. But we need to have a way to look at our city. Our city is growing, and we're becoming bigger every day. And I think we need to have a way to look at all the crime in our city.
Yes, the question again is, do you believe there should be stricter gun control measures in the city of Greenville? If so, what measures? If not, why not?
Well, I think we're kind of getting ready to experience a discussion on this, and it happens, it seems, every other month when our schools are violated and kids lose their lives. And how many times does that have to happen? But it's a very complicated subject. You know, I'm a licensed gun owner. I believe in the right to bear arms. I believe in folks that want to hunt and also folks that want to shoot and protect themselves. It's a very, very difficult topic. I know County Commissioner Lynn Webb has proposed some amendments for how the county's going to handle this. And this is something we really got to pray and analyze closely because I'm a big believer in the right to protect yourself. Right, Rose Glover?
That's right.
Amen. I don't care where you live. But we also, with that, becomes a significant burden of responsibility. There's a 13-year-old kid who can walk around the city and bring one gun. No. There is an obligation. We need to be able to, if we're going to carry weaponry, we need to be properly trained in this city. And any type of licensing that we even consider, that needs to come hand in hand. But I think we need to look very closely at what the county is going to have on their agenda this month related to gun safety and where guns can actually be in different parts of the city. Let me tell you, what's more likely to happen many times is an accidental discharge by somebody inexperienced with weaponry. That scares me to death. You know, I've got memory. I remember my younger brother cleaning a weapon and almost losing his life, shooting it through the roof of our house when we were killed. So that created a clear impression on my family. But he learned from the experience, and he's doing better. Thank you.
Several years ago, I went down to Florida to the Wildlife Federation to do a day of learning how to shoot a gun and learning safety measures. It was designed especially for women. And I discovered I was pretty good at this, and I framed the target and just to remind my husband. And so because I am by nature a rather peaceful person and I'm a bit afraid, it was very important for me to learn how to use a gun and feel comfortable with it. I do believe in people's right to bear arms, but it seems to me something is kind of out of control and out of hand. And when you get nervous that your 3-year-old is going to a nursery school and some crazy person is going to come there and shoot them up, it means we need to do something. There needs to be some kind of stronger system of evaluating people who are buying guns. I think our mental health system is very much in need of being improved so that we can identify these people who every time they say he was a loner. It's not like there are not some danger signals that we know that we need to start taking care of and ministering to these people who are sadly doing such horrible things to people. So I think it's a very complicated situation, like everything in a democracy. We agree it's pretty complicated, but I believe that if we put our minds to it, we can come up with some ideas. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to skip the response on this round because we're coming quickly to a close, and we'd like to get to a couple of our lightning round questions where you will have 1 minute each to respond. And then the first one in our lightning round for 1 minute is Greenville is made up of a diverse community. How will you work to make this diverse community more inclusive? Give examples, and we'll start with Mr. Thomas.
Well, it starts with today. I enjoyed spending some time with young lady who's the chairman of the Human Relations Council. We had legislation just this past city council meeting that we were putting in study at our closed session, at our retreat here the first of the year, to look at how we can expand our human relations component here in the city. We have such a diverse culture. That's why I love about Greenville as a university city and a medical city, is we're not just 2 or 3 cultures. We have such a diverse group across the city. Now, while the county did not invest in the Human Relations Council, I think it is a vital tool in our community. And not just to me, but also how can we look at the strengths of cultures in our community. And I work very closely with many of the populations. When you look at those that have supported my campaign, those that have invested in my campaign, you'll see a wide diversity across this city. Because we work hand in hand with different cultures. And many of them feel like they do. And what I tell you to do, if you're going to complain, get involved. Get on the board. Get on a commission.
I love diversity. I had to go all over the world to find the love of my life, and he's Moroccan. And my daughter had to go all over the world to find the guy from Finland. So we are a family that really loves and appreciates people of different cultures. I think one of the things that the mayor could do, and this is one of the things I've done all my life, is gather people around the table to share and break bread. This is a great way to bring people from different parts of the community to say, what do we all like, and what do we like, and how can we work together? Where are our problems, and how can we identify them and work together? My whole life has been about bringing people to the table of diverse backgrounds and different opinions to solve problems in Greenville, to make it a better place to live, and always in a spirit of respect and inclusiveness. And I think that that's one of the greatest aspects of Greenville. It's diversity.
When I grew up, my father worked for U.S. Senator John East. He was a Republican, my dad was a Democrat. So I learned right away that he doesn't reach across the aisle. In order to, if I'm elected mayor, I will propose to the city council that we have a yearly annual food festival. I think Greenville is big enough. I love to have it. When I was in college, they had Midway Festival up in Durham and a lot of other festivals downtown in Raleigh. So I think we should have an annual festival right here where we come together. When I go downtown and sit in the parks, I love it. Also, my very first command, my very first unit in Japan, my secretary was Japanese, 1/3 of my unit was Japanese, 1/3 was United States federal employees. So I had to mesh the unit very quickly. So I had a key background in bringing people together, and so I was doing that as many people.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to our next question in our lightning round for 1 minute each. The city council often is described as divisive. What would you do differently to unify council members?
This is something I think Alex and I disagree. I was so thrilled when the city council voted 6-0 to present the bond to the citizens of Greenville. I thought, oh, this is great, a united front. This we can build on. And that kind of fell apart. Next thing you know, it's 4-2. So anytime the city council does something 6-0, I think that's something to celebrate, that we can go to this community and build support for this bond issue. And I just believe if we can get people together and talk, first identify what the problem is, and then work on solutions, we can build better relations among all people.
The very first thing I would do is invite the city council to my house and so that we can bond. And once a month, I would love to be able to have lunch with all the city council members. Generally, it's a 42 vote most of the time, and so I think that, just like you said, most people in Greenville, the ones that have spoken to me who want to even run, they think that the city council is very divisive. But I would hope that with new leadership, my background, like I say, I'm a former enlisted person. I was a private, I was a sergeant. I've been a cadet, a retired military officer, and I've had a lot of units in bringing people together. And I would use my leadership style and my funny personality to try to live, the Greenville and city council together, have some fun. Even perhaps maybe we go to a movie together, and maybe we don't go out and maybe shoot a little ball, or maybe a little bowling and stuff like that. So I think we can agree and come over to each other's house and eat dinner and lunch together sometimes. I think it's good for, for politics.
I agree, Russ. We should have a potluck at Calvin's house. Candy's next. Not at Candy's house. You can't do it. A lot of people, I know that firsthand. I've fed that table too many times.
Yeah, right.
No, it's important. Let's look at the founding of this country. The debate between Federalists and states' rights. You look at the discussion between Hamilton and Jefferson. Civil discord is the basis for democracy. It is okay to have a difference of opinion. It's okay to have a different vote. It's not okay to not be civil in that way. Over 80% of our votes that we have in the city council are unanimous. It's interesting that handful that I offered viewed the other way. We did have a full agreement. We had a 13-1 vote with our bond advisory group that we all appointed for their narrow set of actually getting the roads paved. We did have a 4-2 vote, which was civil discord of how the bond ended up. We've had that discussion, and we need to move forward and get the important things done in this community. Because when a vote is held, you move on. You do what's best for the city.
Thank you very much. So we'll move into closing statements. Okay, one more. We have so many, we're trying to decide.
Let's go ask the audience.
Okay, the audience, a question from the audience. Would you commit tonight to support raising the minimum wage to $15 per hour for the city of Greenville?
Wait a minute, say the question again. You said,
Would you commit tonight to support raising the minimum wage
not to raise.
to raise the minimum wage to $15 per hour for the city of Greenville employees? Mr. Reeves? 1 minute.
No, I will not commit to raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour. I will commit to raising the minimum wage to $10 an hour with a living wage increase. Now, I'm okay with raising it in increments over the years, but our small business owners, they make up the majority of the businesses in the United States, particularly here in Greenville. So I think $15 for the city of Greenville would be a lot and could cause a lot of people to do a good job. I would commit to $10 an hour with a living wage increase like it did in Baltimore County and Durham and a few other cities across North Carolina.
This is something we just did, the resolution to a moment ago, to close look at our bottom salaries, and we found it was disproportionate. So we eliminated the entire salary class of our new city employees to bring them up to $13.50, I think, is the number that we made the raise. Correct. That's something tangible again that we did do. Anybody that would step up here and commit to a certain number would not be doing their job. That needs to be analyzed appropriately and properly. And that's where we move something that we do to the entire council, we move to this in our staff property vetting process. We have made a move in the past year significantly to move up to a living wage at $13.50.
Ideally, it would go up as soon as possible. And I think that is true. This is something that has to be investigated. Is that appropriate at this time in history to have $15 an hour today? But I would want to say that that would be our ideal, that we move people as quickly as we can after the proper investigation and making sure it fits with our budget.
Okay, now we'll move to closing statements, and we'll start with,
It is now 8:32.
yes, at 8:32, we'll move to closing statements with Mr. Thompson.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are your three candidates for mayor. And we've been here on display for you, answering a lot of questions from a diverse set of interests across our city. The office of mayor It is what you make of it. And every different person puts a different imprint on this opportunity. I ran in 2011 because I was a father of a young family, and I saw a lack of direction. I saw police leadership that was in disarray. We had caution barriers around our entire downtown. We had buildings that were boarded up for decades. I saw no plan in economic development. I had a good friend that was murdered that significantly impacted my life. And it would have been easy to just sat there like so many and look at the TV and throw things at the TV and complain. But instead, I put my family out there for everybody to judge. I put myself out there for everybody to judge. And I made a promise that we were not going to be someone who's there for ribbon cuttings and there with the gavel. We were going to be there to get things done. And with the support of council, we formed the Office of Economic Development. We created a change in law enforcement that needed to be made. We took down the barriers in the center of our city and many parts of our city. We got serious about investment. And what did we do? We created such a change that we are ranked in one of the top cities for growth and new opportunity across the nation past several years. That's not my ranking. That's not the state of North Carolina's ranking. That is Forbes' ranking, Wallet, and so many others that are taking a look. But we've got so much more work to do. Every part of this city needs good investment. We're working hard north of the river right now. Again, we're working with the Challenge for Change group. I'm working with groups here to revitalize the business districts in this part of the city. But also importantly, I need to go out and recruit big companies. My background is 20 plus years in economic development and recruitment. So when a company comes here, I don't do like some past leaders have said, well, you know, good luck, the mayor is not in the economic development business. I'm in the economic development business. I'll say freely, I am here to be hopefully a positive and energetic display of what this city needs to be in the next so many years. And we have to do that now if this city is going to continue to grow. Because as positive as it's been in the past several years, if, as Chief Hassan A's letter, which he put in the paper this past week, endorsing our growth, if you don't stay on top of it and work with it with proper leadership, then it can go away. So let's keep going and vote for me on the 3rd.
As a little girl, my dad purchased a lot from Hoover Taft, next to Elmer School, which was just a field. And I want to give you a little example of economic development and quality of life going hand in hand. Hoover Taft and Mr. Love bought 3 farms that went from 10th Street, and then Mr. Rivers designed the first planned city of Greenville. It was 4 lanes of traffic, Elm Street. You know where the Whitley Park is, everybody? Okay. It had a median down the middle with trees, sidewalks on 2 sides, and then churches, Brook Green, the Drew Steel Center's there now, the school. You cross over the railroad track. There was Elmhurst School where I went in 5th grade. About 12 acres of open space, a sidewalk, median down the middle, trees, and again Inglewood, Elmhurst, and Forest Hill. Except for the 10 years that I lived over on Paris Avenue, that's where I lived. And what a quality of life and economic engine it's been. I rode my bicycle when I was 7 years old to Little League Park and watched my cousins play ball. I rode my bike this July and watched South Carolina and Georgia come here and play Little League, and guess what? They generated $500,000 into the economy of Greenville. That is the quality of life that happened the very day they started building these houses. And what happened when they got to Greenville Boulevard? I do not know, but they lost their minds. It is a nightmare. It is a gummed-up nightmare. So what I'm saying to you, the choice is, do you want a mayor who's going to go out there and find us some businesses that are going to support our quality of life, or are we going to have a gummed-up mess like Greenville Boulevard? So thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out here. I'd like to thank the Daily Reflector and Mayor Ernest and Ms. Whitley. You know, I like them very much, but I like myself better for mayor. Now, I'm running for mayor because I want to improve the lives of all the citizens here, you all, and veterans, and the elderly, and the poor, and the sick, and the hungry. Now, I'm a disabled veteran myself. I've had the privilege to live outside the United States for 6.5 years. I lived in places like Tokyo, Seoul, Stuttgart, the Middle East. I've been stationed at Seattle International Airport on behalf of the United States government for almost 4 years. I've worked at Denver International, San Francisco International, Chicago International. Had an opportunity to retire from the Pentagon. I served at the White House. God has been good to me, but I'd rather be right here where I am today. This is my home. I'm running because I love the city of Greenville with my whole heart. I love you all, the people. I love the neighborhoods, and this is my home. Everybody knew, and everybody knows wherever I go, they say they don't have to ask me. They know. I tell them I'm from Greenville, North Carolina. This is where my mother and father brought me home from the doctor's office right across the street. I love the schools I attended. I love to see, the Lucille Morrison. I went to kindergarten there. Amherst, EVA College, Agnes Fuller, James Road. I live across now from the new St. Gabriel, and I tell my friends about the old St. Gabriel where I used to go at. I remember I couldn't even speak. We used to come over here and play bumper pool and cut, like I said, GD&T Bank and go around this city. And so I love this city with my whole heart, and if I'm fortunate enough for you all to vote for me, I will do my best to be the best mayor you've ever seen. I thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you, Mayor, for coming. Thank you, Ms. Whitley. And my name is Ernest Reeves. Please go to ernestreeves.com, and I'm asking you all for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you again, everyone, for coming out tonight. I'm sorry we couldn't get to all the questions. Everybody put very good questions to us, not only here tonight, but also online and via the phone to the Daily Reflector. We'll try to get more of these questions answered and get them in the newspaper. Please keep reading the newspaper. We're going to continue to cover this race. Also, there are a couple of more forums coming up. There is another mayor forum that the chamber is holding, I believe, on Tuesday at noon. That's at the Hilton. You need to register with the chamber. These three will be there as well. We're having another one here next Wednesday, same time, same place, with the at-large candidates. And also, please go to their websites. These guys do a great job of getting out in the community, every single one of them. They're out in the community every day. If you have a question, they'd love to answer you. So please ask them. Walk right up to them and say, hey, they all have email addresses, they all have websites. That's what they're about. So please ask them questions and get your friends to participate in this process. We all need an informed electorate. It's the only way we're going to have a great city is if we stay informed and we participate in events like this. So please try to gather up as much participation as you can. And again, thank you very much for coming out tonight. And thank you, candidates. And thank you to the